Hey Garth, how are
Hi,
you?
Brandon, I'm really well. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great now that I'm talking to you. This is one of my favorite. I love this film, dude. It was so good.
Thank you. That's really kind. Let's just stop there. We've peaked.
That's it. I have
No,
seen a lot of movies that are still to come this month alone, and this one is at the top of the list so far.
yeah.
It's
Thank you.
really good. It's
I'm
really good.
behind on everything because, of course, I've been trying to finish the thing, and now we're promoted the thing. So I haven't seen anything lately. So I'm desperate to see what everyone else is doing. But I will take that as very high praise, and I'm very grateful. So thank you very much.
Of course, well, you've earned it. And actually, I want to go back to the first thing, to well, kind of a comparison to your work on the first thing to start with, because that was your first animated feature. And this
Yes.
time around, you came out swinging again. You make a super fun film. I want to hear when you get back in the swing of things, no pun intended. Was it easier to just hit the ground running? What was kind of the biggest difference when you had
Oh,
that kind of experience on the first thing? Was it confidence? Was it knowledge? Both, all of the above?
well, you have. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on there. It's been for over 4 years' work, so there's an awful lot that's happened in that time, and there's some lovely things, which is that I'd had to move. The animation studios are in Paris, and so we had moved there at the beginning. My wife and our 4 kids. So that was nice that we already had a home. We didn't have to start a new home again. Um, and then in terms of the team, it was great because I'd been working with Chris Miller-Dandry and he was great, and all these people that I could keep the team, the gang together, and all the cast that were coming back. And then in addition to that, it was great to add all these new people, these new characters. So there were lots of things that were like positive, and there were lots of things that were really difficult. I mean, they've come out great, but like the fact that the ambitions for the film were so much greater than the first in terms of everything, really, the music, the emotions, the scale of the visuals, that that was really hard. Um, but in a good way, in a way that it should be. It's just like Buster's story. He's trying to go as far as he can with this, and I feel like we did as best we could with this too.
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, listen, if you're not challenging yourself, are you doing it right? I love that you
Yeah,
guys,
it's true.
you know,
It
you
was challenging until this moment right now.
well now I hope you get to enjoy it a little bit
Yeah,
and
no, I
celebrate.
do. I love it. I love what we've done. I really am. Really super proud of it.
When that first film it comes out and it is such a successful original property, does that make you feel like you can have a bit more freedom with Sing 2, or does that kind of give you a bit more pressure to make sure you recapture in a new way, like that magic?
Oh, that's a good point. I felt like there was free. Mainly, I felt a freedom. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like, oh, they will listen to this wide range of music
Oh
and
yeah.
enjoy it, and people, because and they did emotionally connect with these characters, whether they were German pigs or gorillas from a gang. It really it really was lovely, and to build on that gives you confidence. I suppose I was really excited to get back into it. I really was. I'm and then to work with all these new people who were amazing on top of the cast I already had. I mean, it wasn't exactly a shabby cast to be to begin with, but everyone's been fabulous,
Yeah.
fabulous team. Yeah,
I'm going to dive into some of the cast experiences. I want to hear about that in a couple of minutes. There's a couple of things I want to touch on first. First of all, I watched your music videos that you directed, the Vampire
I
Weekend one
oh
and
yeah,
the radio one. The Vampire Weekend one, that
which I
video
did two for
relies
them. Which
on
which
camera
one?
movement in entirety in the Vampire Weekend music
Yeah,
video.
yeah,
That's all camera movement. And then the
yeah,
Radiohead is the complete opposite. You kept it still and you depend on
yeah.
the performer movement. And I'm really curious if the sort of lot like filming live action real sequences like that, when you apply them to animation, do you
Yeah,
take anything like
yeah.
that camera movement style and what they can do, what that means, like how do you apply that into a new
Yes.
medium?
Oh, I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do. What you're pointing out is how do you capture what's great about the song? With the Radiohead video with Tom dancing, it was Tom dancing. Camera needs to just sit there and catch it. And the light just needs to focus on no distractions, super raw. I mean, that took 3.5 hours to film that video. And it was like an experiment, and it was just raw performance. Every shot, move on, move on. And then with the Vampire Weekend thing, that has that track, that's Cousins, right? You're talking about.
Yep.
It's such kinetic energy, that song. It should be just like a train that's like on a rail, and you're just the whole time it shouldn't stop. And then trying to capture each beat. So yeah, taking those feelings, taking that approach to visuals and music, and trying to apply it to sing and the performances at the end. It's all the same care and like camera choices and costume choices and lighting choices are all the same. They're built around how am I going to make this music matter to somebody who's just walked into the theatre, maybe has never heard this song before, and that trying to gel those visual ideas together. And they're not just costume. You're right. It's where where do you put the camera?
I love that. I love that. Now, I love how Buster goes through an experience that I know a lot of directors who work on big films go through it. It's this, an executive has an order. You can't really betray the executive, but you got to try to make the best film. I was reading something the other day. I wish I remember who said this. I just read an article the other day. Somebody said that when an executive would tell them, hey, take this out, they would just say, yes, right away, sir. And then they would just never take it out. And it would end up, what's that?
It was Mel Brooks, wasn't it?
That's what it was. Yes, it was. It was Mel Brooks who just said that. And I wanted to hear, have you ever run into that situation where you've been like, all right, hold on, let's see if we can just test this out. Let's smooth it. Let's just get to the full vision and see it at that point. Have you ever had an experience like what Buster goes through in Sing 2?
I haven't on the Sing movies because I've been working with Chris Meledandri, and if you've met him, he's the loveliest man in the world. But prior to that, yes, when you're doing music videos or when you're, in some of the projects I've done before, you do meet some extreme people. And they have extreme people around them. And sometimes you would find yourself in a position thinking, this is terrifying, or like, this is intimidating, or help, get me out of here. And there are some things, there's some lines and some moments that I've experienced myself that I gave to Mr. Crystal. You know, that kind of those jokes where people like, they're really rude to you, really mean to you, and then they say, I was just joking. But you've just had a heart attack. You can't, you're like, they're kind of saying what they really feel. Like, I hate you, I resent you being here, but I gotta keep you, so hey. No, luckily I've been spared. Most of the time I've been working with lovely people. The thing is, if you work on a project you love, it tends to gravitate, it tends to draw in people that also love it, and you're going to find you're mainly working with like-minded people. So on the whole, I've been lucky. There's a few horror stories along the way. I hear them from other people, like, oh, that executive likes to fire someone on the first day just so everyone knows to be on their toes. I'm like, what a waste of time that is. Can you be... Just hire someone we're not going to use and fire them, anyway. But you meet all sorts. But luckily, in this world that I'm in, it's a very compassionate, respectful environment, because they're all artists. We're all very sensitive. We all have to look after each other. I
do hear a lot of great stories out of the Illumination family over there. Everybody seems to have a good time. Yeah, that's awesome.
Basically, it starts at the top, and Chris is lovely. And that means that trickles down. And if you put someone different up there, well, then
then you never know. No, I want to talk about some of these performers that you have. You have Halsey in Sing 2. She does a great version of Could Have Been Me. I love everything you did with it visually. I love everything she did with it tonally. Was that always the song she was going to sing? How long did it take to get it just right? Was she on board immediately? I just want to hear about that experience working with her in this as well.
That song was late. We'd had, because some of the other songs were already in place. That one was changing quite a bit towards the end. I can't remember what the other ones were. Oh gosh, I've forgotten now. So forgive me for not being able to give you the alternatives. But then once we got it, we were like, oh, it Could Have Been Me. That would be perfect. But we also wanted to present that idea to Halsey to see if she felt good about it. And she was like, oh, I love that song. I know those guys. We were around at the same time. Great. So, oh, okay, great. And so we made what we do in that scenario is we make a demo version, and then she listens to that, comes in, and she took it away. She said, I'm going to do the recording of this song at my home studio. She has a home studio, and I'll bring it back in a few hours. Off she went, and then a few hours later, the vocals came back, and they were extraordinary, like just done. She is crazy, like she can do anything. She is super talented and just able to just go straight to what's required and have this flair. It's really rare. I mean, quite wonderful to be in the orbit of someone like that.
Yeah. Not only is she talented, she has such a unique sound.
Yes.
You know
that personality, and goes for it. And even in her performances, in her scenes, she wasn't afraid to really just be this loudmouth, slightly off, kind of the spoilt daughter of the boss. She so got that straight from the get-go. It was lovely.
Is there any bit of a learning curve when the musicians come in and they start doing the acting side of it, uh, for a movie like this?
Um, they're all, the nice thing is for them, they're already familiar with that recordings booth environment. And sometimes I've worked with people who are actors who've never done the voice work before, and they're like, "Where are my props? Where's the, and you're in a dead silent room. It's the very antiseptic kind of environment. There's no one to, bounce off. All you can hear is your stomach. You'd be amazed. I know this is digressing, but you're amazed how much noise your body makes when you don't know about it. And you're in a soundproof room. All you hear is like, rah, rah. It's like Jurassic Park. It's insane how much recording is of people's stomachs just mulling things over. It's incredible. But
They do move. The stomachs do move in herds.
It's sort of like, it's like lion growling. But no, on the whole, they all were familiar with the recording artists were already familiar with the process, and they had a great way of just knowing when they'd hear it back, is that authentic? Do I buy that? So though it's not them singing necessarily, it's like, oh yeah, I believe that I'm saying that. I mean what I'm saying there.
That's awesome.
Singers have an innate sense of, is that true?
That's yeah. No, I'm gonna actually flip that, because in the finale of the film we have this beautiful duet between Scarlett Johansson and Bono. Who Scarlett, tremendous actress first, tremendous singer as well, but we know her as an actress first. Bono, musical icon. When Scarlett had to go kind of find a way to match to hold herself with Bono, and she does. What was it like to kind of see that performance come to life, see that song come to life, and develop that duet?
Well, what you're hearing at the end there is what I was hearing in the studio. And so you can imagine, I was like, it was a goosebump fest. And you're like, it was amazing. She really is so flipping talented and fearless. I wouldn't be able to sing that. There's no accompaniment. It's like, good luck. Oh, and by the way, Bono will be listening to this when you're done.
Yeah.
So no fear, just set with all that feeling. Oh my goodness, it was great. Honestly, recording the songs might actually be the most fun part of the whole process. And that moment there, I remember being one of those moments where like, oh, that's gonna work. You could just feel it, like have that like radiating effect, like whoosh. She's amazing. And of course, Bono heard it. It was like, wow, she's great. I don't think those were his words. He probably had a better version of that. But wow, she's great is what I'm going with.
Yeah, so that I love that, man. And also, I mean, I want to hear about getting Bono on board the project like this. Was it? I assume it was easier than it was for Buster Moon to get Bono's character in there, because Bono comes in, does a tremendous job. What was that experience like?
Well, it was great. He'd seen the first film and really liked it, and I didn't know this. And we'd obviously got this character we loved, and he was this beautiful rock star lion, and he's a recluse, and he's all enigmatic but hasn't seen anybody. And we were like, oh, it would be amazing if it was Bono, because then not only would he fit that vision of the character, but those U2 songs would be the sort of emotional soul of the film. And then we reached out, and as I say, he'd liked the first one, so he phoned me up and wanted to talk about the character. And it was a lovely phone call, because he's so passionate about music, and could see how this lion's story would be a lovely way to sort of, to tell a story about music, about the power of it. And at the end of that call, that first call, he said, "Oh, there's a song in this, there's a good song. You could write a great song about, bringing something, say the song saving your life." And I was like, "Yeah, it'd be amazing." But I just thought he meant like hypothetically, wouldn't that be great? Like, yeah, that would be great. And then a few months later, it was like, here is the song. There was no wheeling and dealing. There was no like, when are we getting a song? I thought it was just left out there. But no, he'd gone and done it with The Edge, and they've written and recorded this song. And I found it profoundly moving to sit there and listen to this thing with him and realize, A, he's given me a song. B, that's the end of the movie done. That is the last 3 minutes of the film. And C, it was sort of I just loved the song. So I found the whole thing overwhelming and got a little bit choked. Had to sort of hold it together while he just went past, I'm just going to wave to Matthew. Hello, Matthew.
Did you just casually wave to Matthew McConaughey?
Yes, he's walking by.
Wow. Well, how about that? Very casual. Well, listen, Garth, it is an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Congrats on Sing 2. I wish you the best of luck with it. I'm happy to support you guys. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it, man.